Good morning, traders. Welcome back to another live stream. If you are new, my name is Zach. This is Real Deal Futures. Happy Monday, July 28th. Before we jump onto the charts, make sure you read what's on the screen. Trading's risky. Most traders lose money. If you trade, you're probably going to lose all or more of the money that you trade with. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't provide financial advice. Nothing I say or do is a suggestion or recommendation to do anything at all. Do your own research. Make your own trading decisions. Read CFTC Rule 4.41 on simulated trading, which is what this is, even in funded prop firm accounts, and the affiliate and partnership disclaimer that says I stand to make money from links and codes in my content, like Top 1 Futures, code RDF, Bookmap, and others. We're going to be talking about those because we got a new deal dropping from Top 1 today, which is what we're going to be looking at. Right here, we are on, let me go ahead and share this tab. We are on the Project X platform, a couple minutes before the bell. I'm a little bit early here today. Got the stream started up early on a Monday, which means I still have to adjust my overnight low as we come into this open at 9:27 and 30 seconds here Eastern time. But we are looking at ES on the Project X platform with Top 1 Futures. We are going to see if we can't keep some nice W's rolling in. Finish off the week pretty strong, man. Friday was pretty choppy overall, but ended up with a W on NQ. Not a live trade, but something I was displaying live with you guys. But here, ended up nice and green across these accounts last week. Got a 7-pack of the straight to funded Sim Pro, 150Ks loaded up with Top 1 Futures. And while we are hanging out, waiting for this market to start to open, before I even get into the analysis, I'm going to show you what's coming up. It's not live yet. It's almost live. Almost live. I'm waiting for them to give us all the green light. But it's 55% off, not just the straight to funded Sim Pro, the OG accounts, the end of day trailing drawdown, no ESS score, no minimum profitable days, the OG accounts. I encourage you guys, $400 for 150K. I encourage you guys to do your own research because I'm biased, right? Stand to make money, so I can't be unbiased. Put this up against the competition. Go ahead and take a look for yourself. Look at the rules. Look at what you have to do to get paid out. Look at the amount you can take when you maybe work your worst way towards a payout. Look at the consistency rule. Put them up against the competition for instant funded accounts. I encourage you to do so. I think you will find that this is the best, if not one of the best offerings on the market right now. But as soon as it goes live, and I'm gonna be checking Discord and some updates. Waiting to see when I get the green light when this is actually live, but. It's we're still waiting on it, but I want to give you guys the info early, right? If you're waiting to buy an account, I used to hate when that happened to me. I would buy something right before a big deal drops. That's never fun. So let's take a look at the markets. We are opening gap up today, but pulling back down to close it right now. If you've been paying attention, if you don't live under a rock, you'll know we're on a pretty wild, nice trend to the upside. Really strong movement. We have had consecutive bullish bar after bullish bar breaking and closing above prior bar highs. Really nothing pulling back to break or close below prior bar lows. We had a little bit of that right here, a little bit of that right here. But, man, this has just been a gnarly push to the upside. Interested to see if we really start to get, market's opening up right now, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Interested to see if we start to get some kind of reversion, some kind of pullback down, normalcy in the market where we kind of get some pullbacks, maybe some good buying opportunities. We're seeing that a little bit right now coming into the open. We were opening up, gap up, but if I drop down to the 15-minute, you can see, looks like we are going to get ready. Yeah, we're closing that gap right here. We had a physical gap up here from the close, right? Sunday open. Big push to the upside. Continue to push above the open into 2 a.m. Eastern time frame. Put the highs in. I've got overnight highs in here at 64.57 and 3/4. And since then, we've sold back off below VWAP. Nice push to the downside, and we are opening back up to start to maybe test back towards VWAP. But we've got a key level here, right? This is prior day high. It's kind of overlapping. This is prior week high, prior day high, as you can see right here. I'm just moving a level. Overnight low is obviously going to be put in right into that on the 1 minute time frame. Yeah, right into that candle, the 9:29 a.m. candle. So this is a key level that we pull back down to. Could see a couple things happening from here. We'll take a look at Bookmap in a minute as well. Could easily see a return back down to the 6400s, right? big key round number. We hung out there for quite a while, right? You can see the area of high volume when I zoom out, visible range volume profile. That coincides with price action and market structure. Could definitely see a pullback down here, maybe a sweep down below these levels before a push up. I could see us just continuing this move to the upside, right? Really not breaking. If you were a trend line guy or girl, well, you'd probably have a nice trend line drawn right here. You could see, the way that this market structure has just continued to push to the upside here in ES. Again, I would anticipate at some point we're going to see a big pullback in these markets, but not yet. Bulls have really not taken their foot off the gas. All of that said, if we take a look at news, I saw a couple of you guys yapping about, talking about news. I mean, say yapping. Talking about news in Discord. We talk about news, often. I want to be clear about this, right? I'm not a fundamental trader, right? Really at all. I hardly take into consideration the news events of the day. Here's what I will do. When are the news events, right? Specifically, when are they? And how high impact do I anticipate them potentially being, right? Both scheduled news events and potential things that are brewing, like war, natural disaster, tariffs that are somewhat scheduled, like this, comments coming towards the end of this week, the beginning of August. And I pay attention to when those are and to decide how I want to structure risk before, after, and during. But I don't try to anticipate what's going to happen. I don't try to anticipate what the news is going to be and how that's going to affect the market and then create a bias around that and trade for, with or against that direction. I don't do any of that. I really don't. I've tried to in the past, a lifetime ago, and it never helped me. It only seemed to hurt me. I would create unhealthy biases, and I would be upset when the market did what when it didn't do what I expected it to do, right? It's just my opinion. I don't see many traders do well with it. Unless you are, swing trading, holding positions for long periods of time, maybe you take into consideration a lot of that sentiment and you position yourself that way. But on low time frames, I find we're never fast enough to react to this stuff, and we're never able to accurately predict the human interpretation of that news, right? But that's just me. That's my humble opinion. Other traders do use it in much more in-depth ways. They integrate it into their trading. But I don't back test with it. I don't forward test with it. I don't trade with it. So, I don't try to carry that bias. Here's the amount that I will use it, right? We have no news today. Okay, that's like how I understand that. No news. I say maybe, roughly, maybe, that means we chop and consolidate, right? We have news tomorrow at 10 a.m. Maybe we get a big reaction out of the market and an increase in volatility. Right before that, maybe it's low volume, low volatility. Right after that, maybe it's high volume, high volatility, right? That's pretty much the extent that I go to. I take a look at what we have later into the week, right? We have NFP and unemployment on Thursday and Friday. Along with that, we have some tariff information going on, right? Geopolitics are really playing in a heavy impact into this. That's coming up in Friday, right? So how will I create any kind of bias and use this in my trading? If there's absolutely no news, maybe I am a little bit more inclined to think and trade in a way that we might be choppy and consolidating. Just a hair, right? If I'm going to apply my discretion, which is only in select places. Around large news events, I want to say I either don't want to run a trade into this, or I do, and I'm going to accept the risk on the front end because we're likely going to see a large increase in volatility, and it's somewhat unexpected to be able to understand how much that increase in volatility is going to be, how much price is actually going to move, right? So that's kind of my thought process. But as far as, well, this news is this, and this is bearish, and Trump is doing this, and these politicians are doing this, and all of this means that the market's going to go up. I don't do that. I don't play that game. I prefer to just look at price, volume, market structure, order flow, use the tools in front of me. If I start to add too much of this stuff in, I create these crazy narratives, and sometimes it works great, and you seem like a genius, and other times it just smokes you. Again, I also find that if you're going to build consistency doing something, you have to have a pretty clear way to apply consistency. I think this stuff gets really, really discretionary. And what I used to find watching other traders trade and hearing them talk, they would backtest, right? They would backtest their approach. That was purely technical. They weren't applying anything to do with news at all. But then when it would come to trade, they were trading extremely fundamental based. Well, all of these things are happening, and I'm going to trade a certain way. And they're abandoning a good strategy and approach that seemed to work well for them. So Again, just wanted to kind of go over my, thought process when it comes to news. Again, this isn't the end all be all. There's plenty of traders that say, nope, that's a stupid way to trade. You are, leaving yourself wide open. You're not taking into consideration all of these other things that are important. There's a million ways to skin this cat, for lack of a better analogy. You can use news. You might find it works very well for you. Personally, I pay attention to it and I use it in the way that I just described. Very limited, very limited. I want to be really aware if we do or don't have scheduled news events, financial news events, and what the potential impact is. Is it NFP on Friday? That's probably going to be a large news event. Is it, FOMC? And we have, on Wednesday. I didn't even mention that one. On Wednesday, that's probably going to be a big impact to the market, right? So I recognize that. I understand that. So, I will act accordingly slightly before and after that. Hope this helps, guys. Questions or anything like that, more than happy to talk about it. Chat, what's happening now that we got through that? Andrew, what's up? Colby, what's up? Wolf, what's up? Good morning, everyone. Omega, Brian, Apps, what's up? What's up? First time here. Good morning. Good morning. Been watching your shorts on YouTube, but just started watching live. Appreciate you. Welcome to the show. What's happening, everybody? Scott, what's up? Luciano, what's up? What's up? What's happening, everybody? Let's get this show rolling. Stream looks good. Looks like you guys can see and hear me across platforms. That's always a good thing. we like when that happens. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, so far, just letting the market open up, right? I hopped on here nice and early with you guys. For me, if it's your first time here, you will note that I don't like to get that's why I'm yapping and kind of talking to you guys and really not too heavily focused on the market. I don't like to jump right in. I don't like to get involved in the market in the first 10 to 15 minutes. Outside of running NQ pre-market trades into the open, for here on ES, I really don't like to jump directly in and start doing anything too crazy. I let the markets open up, the volatility come in. I let the gamblers get their, get their accounts done and cooked out of the way, and then, maybe the market picks a direction, we start to get some movement. No, but like a news event, oftentimes it can be a lot of, hard to anticipate the change in volatility, which means it can be difficult to structure risk. I don't think it's any more or less unpredictable. I don't think that's a good way to, to talk about the markets in general, but it's going to go up or down. How fast it's going to move directly at 9:30 is difficult to anticipate. And so position sizing can be difficult, structuring risk can be difficult. And I think that can add to erosion of maybe an edge. But outside of all of that fancy talk, I get smoked off the open oftentimes. And that's as simple as that. My data shows don't hit the buy or sell button before 9:40 or 9:45, which we're coming up on, right? I take an outsized number of losses when I do that. And I often don't have the capital to continue trading throughout the day the way that I would like to. So it can be as simple as that, right? Find when you are doing well and when you're not doing well. When you're not doing well, maybe take your foot off the gas. When you're doing well, maybe put your foot back on the gas. So, take a look at the markets to the upside and downside. I'm trying to frame some trades here, guys. I'm trying to get some trade ideas put together with you here as we are starting to watch this market move lower, putting a fresh session low, pushing this daily candle lower. I could see some potential for involvement from me down around the 15s, the 20s to the 15s, right? If we continue to push lower, I think we got one of two things coming up here, right? I think we're going to find some buyers into the 20s, right? I said maybe the 15s. That would be a nice dip lower here. So I wouldn't mind a buy off of these areas unless we start to really aggressively sell off. I think we are likely to pull back up, come back towards VWAP, right? That's my mean reversion style trade. If I'm wrong there, I think we're coming all the way down to sweep Friday's low, back down around this 6,400 level. I think we might do that based on the way this is moving. But first, I think we could find some buyers around the 20s, pull back up, maybe go check out the 35s, 40s, maybe even the 50s if we were really going to pull all the way back up and take everybody back out. And that would make for this nice choppy, maybe rangy consolidating day that I'm anticipating a little bit based on it being a completely no news Monday with a lot of news later in the week. Right? Just talking about the way that I think about that. Conversely, we could just sell off. We could really aggressively sell off here. So I'm looking for the 20s. We started to move here, right? I said I was trying to frame an idea. If we were just going to chop here, that wasn't going to be too much. I might zoom out to the 15 today, guys. This is just a little hard to see what's going on over here, and all I got is a downtrend to look at. So the 15-minute chart might be a little bit better to look at. But I'm looking off the 20s, maybe towards the 15s. Again, we got some liquidity down here. 140 on the book at 64.20, and then it really starts to drop off. So I don't mind that. I probably want to wait for a little bit further of a dip down. And again, this would give me a way to structure risk in a favorable way, right? Here's what I would be potentially looking at. Not a 4.5 point stop, maybe a 10 to 15 point stop. And, be able to capture a 1-to-1 just on something like that. A much nicer risk to reward if we were going to hold all the way back up towards VWAP, which could be potential movement. I could see something like this. Again, fully aware that we are bearish, starting in London, really selling off, really into the open pre-market, and then right into this NYSE open here, continuing lower. So we'll recognize that I can get my face ripped off, but that's part of trading reversions, right? Same way that if you hop in on a trend, you can get stopped out on a pullback, right? You have an advantage and a disadvantage trading, really either way in general. So yeah, to the downside, trying to get a little bit better with my arrows here. To the downside, potentially looking at this to continue a little bit further, maybe an aggressive pop lower. We see some buyers start to step in as we come down here, right? This is where I apply some discretion. I'm looking at orders potentially getting filled, buy side, looking at Bookmap, and maybe some volume picks up to the upside. We start to see a snap back up, or at least some hesitation here for a second. I might look to get long down here, anticipating a pushback up. Conversely, we don't come down here, whatever. I don't get a trade long side. I'd prefer not to get short. If we really quickly crack to the upside, I'd probably be waiting for around these 64.50s. I don't think I would want to just take something short off of VWAP because we're pushing to the upside overall, right? Higher time frame trend. This is a very, very bullish market. Bears have been getting cooked day in and day out. Long bias traders have really been eating good. Guys that I watch guys on socials and stuff, and traders that I hear from that traditionally like only take longs. They're almost long only traders. Like 85-90% of their trades are long. If you just look at what the market's done day over day, they've done pretty well. It's been a couple down days, right? But overall, those guys have. If you waited patiently for a spot to buy, or even not even that patiently, and you ran a wide stop loss, you could have really cleaned up over the last couple weeks. But that's my thought process. Looking for a good spot to get long. Again, recognizing that we could really aggressively sell off down around this level. I don't need a zone down here. Prior day low is right at the level that I'm looking at, right around that 6,400. But a little bit further of a dip down below this level here, and then a reversion back up would generate a nice trade for me. Conversely, if we aggressively sell off, or even if I got long on something over here, we took a stop, I'd still be looking long around this area, 6400s. That's a potential spot for a pullback and a nice reversion. But it looks like we want to hang out up here, prior week high, prior day high, Friday and last week's high for now. Key level, we filled the gap. That might be all we need to do, man. This could be long starting to come in right here. We got a nice growing CVD. Yeah, I'm going to be in wait and see mode, guys. I need to see this get taken. At least one more clean out to the downside. Again, we have 137 on the book down here, and then it starts to drop off. I was saying the 64.15s because we do have like 76 on the book down there. And then, yeah, every 5 to 10 points, there's a little bit of liquidity to the downside. And then it really drops off after the 6400s. But we're going to have to wait and see. It's Monday, right? We try not to do anything too crazy. Try not to really, really just blow it on a Monday and start the week off with a bad taste in our mouth, but I've started quite a few Mondays with L's recently, so you do what you can do. Let the market play out in your favor, hopefully. Let's see what you guys say in the chat. Where are regulars? What's up? What's up? Do you trade off of ETH, electronic trading hours? Yes, I typically do. This is a continuous electronic trading hours, extended trading hours chart. I hardly ever find myself looking at regular trading hours. Nothing bad to do there. It's just opinion, right? I think key levels can be drawn from regular trading hours. That can be helpful. Can I get the exact setup from your YouTube video? Yeah, I'm trading live here, guys, directly from the platform that you're going to watch me execute on. I know a lot of traders talk about live trading. Ooh, we're not gonna get long 5. I know a lot of traders talk about live trading and then they just talk, and then all of a sudden they talk about the trade that they had on. That's not what I do here on ES. You're gonna watch me trade directly from this and either take a loss or a win, or end the stream with a trade running, or take no trade. But that's live trading for me. It's executing directly on the chart, right? Most of the guys that I talk about when they live trade, that's what they do. The trading view chart with a position tool, and you're talking about trading. I don't really know what that is. I don't know what that's considered. I understand certain reasons for doing things like that, that are not always just mischievous or trying to be deceitful, but for me, execution directly on the chart, right? From the account that you can see with P&L running, all that fun stuff. So yes, if you have a question as that starts to happen, feel free to let me know. I try to articulate everything that I do in a lot of detail, specifically for that reason. It's nice to let things settle, including your stomach. Yeah, absolutely. My final days in Scott's leaving Florida. What's up, Andrew? Wolf, got some 400 on the YM drop. Should be done for the day. Hey, Zach, you should acknowledge perma bears like me, too. Yeah. Guys, I find myself, as crazy as it is to say, I really find myself taking more shorts than longs just by my data, and almost more comfortable getting short. And I've talked about that in the past and why I think that's a problem if you're going to trade the US indices. Like, why are you on the US indices? Find a pair that, or instrument or something that primarily moves down. But yeah, it's interesting. Understand yourself, right? Find your bias if you have one. Connor Russell, what type of accounts do you normally give away? The accounts that I give away on these streams, which we do giveaways every week on these streams, multiple days, random times. You don't have to ask me when it is, but they are 50K straight to funded accounts. We're gonna be doing some more fun stuff coming up, but right now we're just getting hyped up on the deal that actually just got rolled out, which is back to 55% off the instant funded accounts. But the accounts I give away on here are top 1 futures, straight to funded pro accounts. That's the answer to that question. Good morning. Wiki, yikes, it's Wolf. I refer to the indicator settings. Sure. Do you have a question? If you have a question about any of the indicators on my chart, feel free to let me know. I'm happy to talk about it. But also, I have multiple videos on my YouTube, just for Beauty and Young as your YouTube name. I have multiple videos on my YouTube channel. This way we don't waste too much time, and you can take your time and go through it, where I break down my entire chart setup, the exact chart setup that I am looking at right here. You can look at that in detail. Indicator settings, all that good stuff. But I try not to take too much time explaining or whatever, my strategy or my approach or whatever we want to call it, because I just execute it live with you guys here, and it's pretty easy. You can go back through and watch live sessions if you like also. Kind of just scroll around until I got a trade on. Right before what I was talking about, how I managed it, all that fun stuff. So let's see what we got here on ES. I'm looking long on this bad boy. think we might be good to go on the top one futures deal. So if you guys don't know, we were waiting on 55% off. This is the deal. We were waiting for this to go live. It's for the instant funded accounts and the straight to funded pro accounts. So not just the straight to funded pro. It puts the 150K at like $400. Again, these are the normal end of day trailing drawdown, 20% consistency, no equity stability score that takes into account your worst day, no minimum profitable days as far as having to make a certain amount per day for a certain number of days. Just the consistency score, the nice end of day trailing drawdown. But I'm testing it right now before I say it. Ooh, it's working. All right. There we go. Now I gotta hype everybody. Yeah, guys, this is live. This is now live. So if you want to check it out, code RDF gets you the deal. I just want to see what the 50K account is because I really have a preference to that account. Oh man, it's 291. Gnarly. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm partnered. I'm affiliated, right? But this deal is live, guys. I'm gonna throw this in the chat. I just got to. I told everybody I would tag everybody in my Discord as we're watching the market kind of chop around these lows here. Throwing this in my Discord again so we can let everybody know. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Deal is live. I also, guys, have a fresh YouTube video. This is what it looks like. Just dropped this one. Going side by side, comparing the straight to funded pro and the instant funded accounts. If you guys have questions on that, feel free to hit me up. I try to do my best to get you guys the info that you need to make a good, educated decision for yourself, right? And that maybe means that I don't like these accounts. I don't like the consistency rule. I don't like anything about them. That's good. You made a good decision. Let's take a look. Let's take a look and see. Yeah, man, chopping around these lows again. I'm waiting for a dip down to these 420s, 6420s. That's really what I would like to see. If we just push back up to VWAP here, I don't have a setup. You know, that's not my play. See if we can't go grab some liquidity, man. Let's see. Let's see what we got, chat. Looking like we might want to. Again, guys, I'm looking long off the 6420s. If we start to come down lower here, probably going to be a one contract 10-point stop. Pretty standard what I've been running. I'd like to see a crack down below the 20s and then at least some kind of pause. You know, watch that liquidity fill. We got quite a bit above that right here at the 25s, like right below price. So, yeah, here we go, coming down to the downside. This could get interesting, guys. Again, I'm not going to jump right in. Not going to jump immediately in. Otherwise, if I wanted to do that, I would just throw a limit order here, right? Which is never a terrible thing to do. I want to see what happens if we come through this low and if we come down here. Do we just rip to the downside, right? You know, maybe I save myself an immediate stop out by not limiting in. But I want to see what happens as we start to come lower here. Not yet. Not breaking the lows just yet. Hanging out down here around the lows. This is interesting, man. This is interesting. I don't know that we do it, man. Buyers not wanting to drop this. I think if we do come down here and crack this low, guys, I think we got a really good chance of an aggressive crack lower. Again, we've got quite a bit now on Bookmap. I can pull up Bookmap so we take a look at this together. You guys can see exactly what I'm looking at. But I was getting ready for an entry, right? So I want to do what I just said I was going to do, which is execute live on the chart to show you. And if I pull up Bookmap, I don't like to run them. I tried testing them, running them side by side. I might do it in the future, but I just didn't like the way that it looked. Sharing the entire screen, but I can show you guys Bookmap in just a minute here. We're pushing right off these lows. We got liquidity right here, really right into these lows, like a couple hundred lots on the book, and then 138 down here. Actually, multiple levels of a couple hundred lot orders, and that looked good for a potential sweep lower, but this might be all we need to do before a pull back up to VWAP. If we just start to do this, you know, we come up here and we come down and we kind of do this. That's like a whole lot of nothing, right? You know, usually we're not going to move back in time. But this is kind of going to be like Friday when we had, I actually saw a couple people comment. It was one of the lowest volume days Friday morning for NYSE session. But if we just consolidate, right, and kind of like chop in a very tight range, I don't have an entry. There's nothing here for me. I'm going to try not to just get chopped up. Closest thing that I'm going to have to an entry so far is just going to be a sweep of these lows. Again, not immediately entering off the 20s, but looking for a potential good, ideal entry from me to get long. Area of interest on the chart. Down below some liquidity with not a whole lot down below that. Again, it would be cracking down below these areas that we've been hanging out at. We came down and hung out at them. I would have actually liked to just move lower quickly and then come back up. Consolidation and then a break is not as clean, but if we come up here and then come all the way back down, that invalidates it. I would not look to get long if we came all the way up here first and then sellers took it all the way down lower. That really would not be appetizing at all. So let's see what we get. Let's see what we get here. What's up, ICT macro time? How do I enter the giveaway? Random days, random times. I drop a form on the live stream. Got to be hanging out on the live to get it. That's the deal. So you will know when one is coming up. I announced it 47,000 times. Royal Freshes. I don't know if you saw them, but I commented yesterday on your ESS video with a question. Let's see. I can look at that in a minute, man, after we watch this. But I respond to everybody on all of my socials, so I will respond to you. Unless you start mouthing off with something crazy, then maybe I just ban you. I usually respond to those people too, but sometimes it's just too much waste of space. Some people just want to just have conversations with people by bitching and complaining. The Fred cars, yeah, nice, similar. Yeah. If these videos with exact settings, I go and check out. As some traders different live on video, that's why I check with you. Yeah, no pressure. Again, if you have a question, the person that's asking the questions on the indicator settings or something like that, if you have a question on it, just let me know. I'm happy to talk about what's on my chart. I try not to go over it over and over and over and over again, right? Because we got a lot of people that hang out on here often, and if the live video every single day is just the same repetitive, here's VWAP, here's visible range volume profile, here's the settings, it just is like, you know, nobody really wants to watch that. So, but yeah, all of them are the same. If you find something different, you have a question specifically on something, just let me know in the chat, and I'm happy to break that down for you. But it's a very simple chart. There's almost nothing on here. Couple levels, couple of volume tools. No mouth enough, brother. Yeah, no. Of course, not you. I'm not saying that you. Yeah. Yeah, I think if you're talking about the ESS, I have a video on it. If you're assuming that you watched the video and then you commented, I have a video on the equity stability score, which is only for the straight to funded accounts. which is why I'm hyped up on this normal instant funded account discount being 55%, because there's no equity stability score, there's no minimum profitable days as far as a rule goes. There's just a standard 20% consistency. There's no intraday trailing drawdown. It's the better of all of them. The end of day trailing drawdown, nice wide, standard max loss limits, in my opinion, from what I've seen. So pretty solid and a really gnarly price, man. I think under $300, for example, for the 50K, instant funded, no activation fee, no challenge. I think that's a solid deal. It's a solid deal. Again, I'm biased, I'm partnered, I'm affiliated, I stand to make money, right? So you can say, of course you think that's a solid deal, Zach. Do your own research, right? Look at what's on the market, put them up against the competition, especially for instant funded accounts. You do your homework there and you decide for yourself. If you like prop firms in the first place, maybe you say, I'm well funded, I don't want to mess with prop firms at all. Maybe you say, I'm a home run hitter, or I just don't want any consistency rule. Maybe a challenge account where there is no consistency rule in the funded is going to be better for you, or a wider consistency rule in the funded is going to be better for you, right? Everybody's different. There's so many different ways to trade, so many different instruments to trade, time frames, all of that, strategy, approach, risk management, your personality, all that's going to come into deciding what's best for you. So I don't think that there's anything in trading at all that's best for everyone. I think that would be crazy to say. Even with platforms, with brokers and live accounts, everyone's needs are vastly different here. So I can just, show you what I think is a good opportunity for someone like me, potentially, right? And then even then I'll talk about where I don't think there's a good opportunity for me, right? And where I'm trading live accounts and things like that. So yeah, let's see. Brian, what's up, bro? Taking YM long, ADR low reached. Nice. I put the TPO indicator on the chart. It messed up the entire look. It's lines everywhere. Still can't figure out ESS. All I know is I'm staying alive. Yeah, we'll talk about it, I guess. No, Wolf didn't win an account yet. That's amazing, man. Target 110s. Yeah, man, the average daily range stuff that you work with, Brian, is always super interesting, man. It's really solid. I think it's a cool set of levels. It's pretty objective. It's nice. Good morning. So what? What's up? Targeting prior day high. Nice. Looking for a reversion. Yep, we did not come down into my level here. Let's see. Yeah, Scott, the ESS, I would watch the video, man. I took a lot of time to make that one. I explain it. I give examples. If you really want to understand it, which I think you should. It's not that complicated. It can feel complicated off the bat, but it's not that complicated. Yeah. So here's the reversion, guys. I didn't expect this to just rip lower, which is why I really liked it long. I don't know that we pull all the way back up on this, but we got buyers stepping in. We got a nice growing CVD, which means there's volume behind this, right? Buy volume outweighing sell volume, cumulative volume delta moving to the upside on Bookmap. Still orders down here, so I'm not looking at this long yet. I'd have to see what happens, but so far I'm no trade. Jumping in here, like right off this low, and then watching it sell off to the 25s or the 15s, stop me out and move higher would be a really poor trading error on my mistake. So no setup, no entry yet, right? That's just my play. Didn't get to my level. I watched it twice. It's just me. Yes, Scott. We can talk about it in Discord, guys. If you guys need help, we'll talk about it. Yeah, it's highest profit, highest daily profit, and worst losing day. Added together, cannot be more than the percent based on your whatever promo, right? Because they've changed it a couple times. But we can talk about that in detail. I won't make this an entire consistency rule talk on top one. All right. Market. What are we doing, man? What are we doing here? What are we doing here, market? Man, This looks like we don't want to come down at all. Yeah, I'll pull Bookmap up for you guys. Hang tight. Yeah, this is Bookmap, my favorite order flow tool. It's my favorite today, even though it's not really helped me out that much. Here's what I was looking at, right? We come back into pre-market, algos turn off, we start to come lower. What we're looking at here, guys, is price levels, right? This crazy looking chart. It's pretty simple as well. Price levels, quantity of orders on the book. This is your depth of market. They call it your current order book here on Bookmap. So we're looking at quantity of orders, sell side and buy side, above and below price. Price in the middle, we got some volume bubbles showing volume traded. Down here we have cumulative volume delta, which I'm paying more and more attention to these days. This is what I was looking at. As we started to come lower, this did stay on the book, right? You know, highest area below price, highest quantity of orders below price until we got way lower. This has just recently come on the book at 10 a.m. here. We loaded up right below price here, the 64.24s, but this is what I was looking at. Coming down here, maybe grabbing these 64.20s. Again, before that started to come on the book, this is kind of the last area of a high quantity of orders. Let me not mess this up. Where I thought we might get a reversion, right? Down below levels of structure on my chart. Prior day high, prior week high, the overnight low. We didn't come down into that. We found buyers off this level without really filling, and now we've come up to start to fill some orders to the upside. Growing CVD, right? Really nicely growing to the upside. Could mean this could be a sustained move. I'm not getting long with this stuff down here. I didn't get my level hit, which was at least off of the 420s to watch what happens. Now we also have something interesting going on. More and more orders stacking up down below price. That could be interesting if we start to sell off, but it doesn't look like we're going to so far. I would, just speculate that we start to drift higher on this. We are, only a few points off of VWAP. I have mine sitting at 64.35 to the upside right now on the candlestick chart. So just not a lot out of this market for New York so far, which is okay, right? I trade live with you guys early in the morning because this is my main focused session. This is when I want to be looking for trade setups. I will always do what I can to frame potential trade setups after the live. And I've been trying to get better to call it out live for you guys, right? To call it out in Discord or at least talk about what I got going on. But so far, not a lot out of this. Really just not a lot out of this. But we can watch Bookmap. Some of these came off, but not everything. Still 120 down here. This is interesting. I don't trust stuff that starts to come on and off the book. So far, this just started to load up right around the same time. Could be one player. Not that I really take that into too much consideration, but worth noting when stuff comes on the book right around the exact same time. Interesting. Above price, 64.50 if we really start to blast off here. But still down below VWAP. Trading the 64.31s. I would still go for it around the 20s long. But I'm not going to try it up here. I don't know that we pull back. I really wouldn't mind it long if this held up. We didn't see a lot of volume until we got to these levels. Yeah, but this is just not really clean price action for me. Not too much. Now this could be a break and retest before a move lower, but it's not really how I'm reading this. That we'll get a massive continuation down to the 6400s today. We certainly could, but it's not not my setup, right? I'm not really trading for breaks and retests and continuations. So this is just not really doing too much for my day here. Taking a look at the other markets, I had an NQ long that I really don't look at or talk about. Like I talked about on the live stream, I was showing it on Friday just because we had like nothing going on. I got one running long today from pre-market. Just seeing if we get the movement that I'm looking for back above VWAP. Looks like we came all the way back up to VWAP and tried to get towards my take profit. up near the 23,550s, but we are not doing it just yet. I could show you guys that one if you want, but again, not really helpful, right? If I'm doing something off stream and I come on with trades running, like that's not really helpful. And they're set it and forget it style trades. Put the trade on, and you know, I would have more care in a live account because I think more can happen and you have a lot of capital at risk. But with a prop account, you know, it's going to take you out at stop loss or take profit, and that's pretty much it. YM, Brian, man, you caught a banger there, dude. What a reversion. YM was selling off really harshly and turned on a dime. Nice. Very nice. ES, can't really figure out what it wants to do. Looks like it wants to pull back up towards VWAP here. Maybe get a continuation out of this. That's what this looks like to me. It looks like this is all we needed to do. Buyer stepped in on some decent volume, and maybe it's a back through VWAP and continuation to the upside. That's what this looks like to me, chat. Base hits are best for ES. Keep it going. NQ choppy. I'm reading the chat. NQ choppy. Yeah, NQ choppy. NQ gets those larger movements, which is why just one of the reasons that I pull it on pre-market. But also, if I'm trading these accounts and I have a trade running on ES in other accounts, I'd be violating the rule, right? I'd be trading two at the same time that I'm not supposed to, and I could potentially be going long with one going short, and that's a huge no-no, right? So I tried to make sure that I don't do that. How do we see two charts on Project X? Royal Freshness, guess what? Lucky enough, this weekend, I also had a brand new video that came out that goes exactly how to look at two charts, two chart layouts, and having two different instruments if you want to do that, and a whole bunch of other tips and tricks. I have a like 15, maybe it's 12 or 13 video series. I gotta be close to getting 15 on Project X. So check that out as well. Rather than me jack up my entire layout here, I literally just released it. So it's on my YouTube. Looks like you're on YouTube. Yeah, you're on YouTube. Check that out. Yeah, yep. Not only can you show two different charts, like if you wanted to watch ES here on a 15-minute and a 1-minute, for example, you could watch like MNQ and YM side by side on two different time frames. I'll show you how to do that in Project X. Gotta be careful doing it. I talk about it in the video. Be careful doing that. If you unlink the charts, you can make mistakes with the order card and the DOM. You gotta make sure you're on the right chart when you go to trade. If you don't have everything linked up, the way that this is all linked up. So be careful. Cautious doing that. But I'll show you exactly how to do that in my last YouTube video. And if you don't see it there, hit the Project X YouTube videos, and I got a ton. For those that don't know, this is the Project X platform. This happens to be on Top 1 Futures, so you can see it by the logo up here. Oh, no, sorry. I'm on Bookmap still. Wrong screen. Let's go back to the right screen. This is Project X with Top 1 Futures. What I was saying is you can see this Top 1 Futures based on the account type and also the logo up here. But obviously you can trade on Project X with Top Step, with a bunch of other prop firms, right? Sounds like soon to be live accounts, maybe with only one firm broker, but you can trade this platform on multiple different places, and you can use the different layouts up here, and you can set up different charts and different instruments on those different layouts. Bunch of different ways to do that. Again, video is on YouTube if you want to check it out. ADR low, rinse and repeat levels. I'm starting to think this could be the low of the week based off Edgeful stats. Ooh, low of the week. High probability in Mondays for swing traders. Just got good spot to get in ADR. We'll try to hold as much of this position as I can. Nice. Yeah, dude, this looks like the reaction to the upside. This is what I was waiting for, but again, just didn't get my level, right? This is close. You know, we got prior day high, prior weekly high right here, overnight low that got tagged before some volume to the upside, but a little bit deeper. Nice round number, the 64.20s with liquidity. That would have gotten me in. You know, I was not asking for much out of this. Just watch what happens down here and then look to jump to the upside. Again, if I'm going to get long on something that's selling off, I definitely want to be... It's also right down below this little structure right here. That wouldn't have been bad. Oh, yeah, that was a beautiful spot. Just didn't get it today. Nothing in my book to feel bad about there. Just didn't get my level. But yeah, this looks nice. Back up to VWAP on decent volume. So solid, Brian. Solid. In Project X, can you set a trailing that goes into profit, let's say 7 points? So, Project X is limited on trade management tools, which I've complained about a number of times. You can set a trailing stop loss over here in the order type. If you come down here, you can set a trailing stop order. But what you can't do, and I think what you're asking, is to set an auto break even, which is really nice. I'm not a big fan of trailing stop. I'm a big fan of auto break even plus an offset, plus or minus an offset. And what that means is you can set an order with also custom brackets you can't do on Project X, which is actually ridiculous. I like Project X for so many reasons. I love trading on a TradingView chart. I find it fast. I find fills to be pretty fine. You know, a little bit of slippage here and there, but nothing crazy. And some of that's been being kind of debunked as far as like what's different with any other platform on slippage. But some of the stuff that just doesn't make sense to me is like not having for custom brackets. Like they have all of these risk tools that are so badass. They have so many cool things. Can we just have like basic custom brackets? But what an auto break even, right? Plus or minus an offset and certain like intuitive automated trade management tools. Here's what this looks like. If you wanted to do a auto break even plus an offset, you would enter and you'd have a stop and a take profit. And then as price moved a certain distance in profit, which you set, let's say 20 ticks, you could set price stop loss to move to break even plus 5 or 10 ticks, for example. Right? So auto break even plus an offset is pretty sweet. And you know, we just don't have that on Project X. Most other platforms do have that. Most. TradingView itself is pretty limited, which is, you know, is what it is. But stuff like Tradeovate has that, MotiveWave have that, Quantower has that, which you can trade now on. You can trade Quantower, just not if you're a Mac. Can't wait for them to add it. Yeah, again, like this is just like basic stuff, right? Like you know, why not give all of the different like trade management automations? I think that's what we would call that, right? Just different types of control when it comes to trade management. So auto break even plus an offset and multiple auto break even levels is really sweet. You know, it's really cool to be able to do that and set a fixed break even or break even plus an offset rather than have it trail automatically. Like it's just more control. So, but the most basic one is a custom stop loss and take profit bracket. I don't know how they've gone on so long and haven't done it. You can set brackets the way when I enter a trade right now, you're going to watch a take profit and stop loss get thrown on the chart, but that comes from the risk settings and it's set by the dollar amount. And you would have to go back into the risk settings and change it and save it every single time. Rather than like on TradingView, for example, if you're entering a stop loss and take profit with a limit order, you can customize it right then and there on the chart. It's pretty intuitive and simple. So yeah, I don't know what's up with them not having that, but anyway, back up to above this prior week high, close to VWAP. Turning back to the downside here. I'm waiting and seeing, guys. I'm waiting patiently. I would consider it still off these lows. I don't like it as much. Ooh, we got some volatility coming in here, guys. We might see something here. That's a pretty gnarly turn to the downside. That's a pretty gnarly turn to the downside here. It's interesting. Interesting, chat. Interesting. Let's see what we get here. It was a turn down and an immediate pop back up. That looks very bullish. Yeah, we didn't grab even the 25s on that one, man. So Bookmap, Bookmap ain't helping me on this, but that's interesting. Do we come right back down through this? Let's see, man. Let's see. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. As always, man. I try to say that often. Y'all are awesome. We got a bunch of people on from all different platforms today. Yeah. Got a handful of you guys from YouTube, handful of you guys from X. Appreciate you hopping on. I'm live here almost every damn day that the market's open, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 100% free. I also run a 100% free trading Discord. I'll throw that in the chat if you're not in the Discord. More than happy to have you in. Not a VIP program where I try to sell you some secret channel where I trade live. In fact, all that stuff is scams. If anybody hits you up impersonating me or about something that I'm selling, that's a scam. So I don't do anything with crypto. I don't want to manage your money. I trade live for free and run a free Discord. So feel free to hang out here or don't. Feel free to hop in the Discord or don't. Do whatever you want. But whatever you do, don't get scammed. So... but as always, man, awesome to have a lot of the regulars and some new faces on here today. Appreciate you guys. This stream grows every week. It's crazy. It's so fun to do. It's really awesome. I'm glad that you guys want to hang out with a regular idiot trying to turn a profit in the markets. I really appreciate you guys. Really appreciate you guys. Let's see. Can't wait for them to add that. Yep. The best is the lockout button. Yeah. Oh yeah. I made multiple videos on the risk settings as well. Love the risk settings on Project X. I think it's incredibly helpful. A massive cheat code for traders. Really massive cheat code for traders. Scott, I got caught watching Bookmap. Got him slow. Hedge fund managers. Yep. What are you guys saying there? Man, I can't figure out why my VWAP is off from yours. Okay, here's a question for you. If you change time frames, make sure you scroll all the way out, like you see me do multiple times, and then come back in and see if it resets. On Project X, for example, watch this. You see my VWAP is at 6435.17. Take a look at where it is now, right? 6431, not at the same spot. I need to scroll back out to the anchor point for whatever VWAP that I'm using. I don't know why Project X does this. It's not just with Top 1 Futures. It's Project X. It's the platform itself. TradingView doesn't do this. No other platforms that I know do this. I don't know why they do that, but you have to scroll all the way back out to load all the volume to the anchor point specifically. How far back? Wherever that VWAP is anchored to. This is a session VWAP, so I would need to at least come back over to this spot to display this on the chart. Again, don't know why, but make sure you do that. As we watch this market, try to decide what it's going to do. We had some volume come in there, got bought right back up, hanging out at the 64.30s all day, man. Yeah, I don't know, guys. We might chop here. No news Monday, like at all. Big news later in the week. This is feeling choppy. This is feeling kind of choppy. Real deal, Zach. You know it. That worked. Wow. Thank you. Yeah, no, I got you guys. It's simple stuff, right? But I'm glad, man. You Royal Freshness, we're answering a lot of questions today here. Yeah, that's just a nuance. I don't know why. It's actually an issue. They know it. A million people have told them about it. They haven't fixed it for however long Project X has been out. As I was trading on Project X as soon as it was made available from Top Step X. From day one. It's always been like that. So. And there goes my account, damn NQ. What are we doing, Kingpin? What happened? Kingpin, what happened? What happened on NQ? What did you get short or something? Yeah, this is much more movement on NQ, but overall, like chop, right? Like, what are we doing here? This is like nothing. 9:30, you know, like what the hell is this? I mean, that looked good to the upside. That looked good to the downside. This looks good to the upside. You know, this is choppy, man. This is tough. Yeah, got me too. I got the $4.50 Top Step accounts. Holy crap! Wolf's still trading the $4.50 accounts. Yeah, those were dangerous, dude. I never had those, but I think I had the they were $9 or $19. I had stupid cheap ones for a long time, and it generated a very, very bad habit of just not caring about them at all. It was fun though. Fun to have them. $4.50 challenges is insane. YM back to VWAP and ES, trying to figure out what it was doing, but we getting chopped to bits, mate. Guys, man, just take it easy. This market's not doing anything. You listen, man. I don't like to say that, right? Because this might be what you need to trade. You might find exactly your setup, and just because I don't have a trade on doesn't mean that you don't have a trade on, right? And it's not beautiful. But this, for me, this is not good. This is not very good. This is a 10-point range, 40 ticks on ES, like chopping around near the open. Here was our opening candle, right? 9:30. This is not anything, right? If I find myself in a trade here, unless my level was up here somewhere, we got hit, and we wanted to pop to the upside, this is not good. This is nothing, right? And at very least, I hate having no trade sessions. I really do. I don't enjoy them, but I recognize my job as a trader is not to trade. It's not to, as contradictory as that sounds, it's not to put on 5 trades per day every single day. It's to wait patiently for my setup to come and then to execute effectively. And when it's to wait patiently to when my setup doesn't come, when we don't hit any level that I'm looking for, and we get the volume and price action market structure that I'm looking for, to not do anything and to not get chopped to bits if my setup is not there, right? Because I'm gonna have to take L's on another day, right? Where maybe next Monday we come down, we hit this level, everything looks the same, and we don't bounce. We rip my face off. I need my $500 L for that day. And if I take my $500 L in here where there was nothing, I don't have it for over here, and now I run myself into loss, and I don't work myself towards payouts, right? So, do what you can. We talk about it a lot, but do what you can to not throw trades on in the middle of rangy, choppy, consolidating markets, unless that's your bread and butter, unless that's what you trade, So, again, I try not to overgeneralize, because what works for me and what's good or bad for me could be the complete opposite, right? People trade trends, people trade consolidation, people trade reversals, they trade continuations, right? Like literally the exact opposite. For every buyer, there's a seller. So I don't like to generalize, but I see a lot of traders struggle because we have communities, right? And we can kind of get a good feel of what's going on, maybe in the, retail futures trading space or retail prop futures trading space, when we see everybody hop on and 9 out of 10 things are blown accounts. That can give you a little indication that people struggled today. Or conversely, when it's everybody's biggest day, what did that day look like? So, nothing yet for me, guys. Here we go, 10:30. We are opening up now, really right in the middle of initial balance. This is just nothing. A whole lot of nothing. Let's see, $20. I have the BGF 5K straight to funded. I'm learning crypto, still on demo. Scott, yeah. This one's for the young, excited, slow boomers like me. Yeah. I got the $4.50 refund from two accounts too when I took the payouts. That's funny, Wolf. That's really funny. Kingpin, I was long and kept adding into the last drop. And then it came back up. This is painful, Wolf. I mean, this is painful, Kingpin. It's a painful one. Yeah, I'm gonna hang out for a little bit, guys, but this is a whole lot of nothing, man. It's a whole lot of nothing. Sorry to hear it, guys. If you're not in anything and you don't see a setup, hang tight. I'll be right back, guys. Be right back. How'd the chair do? How did chair do today? Okay. Chair stayed out of chop. Not bad. Chair. And you guys were talking about on the chair. Talking about the chair on the live stream. Y'all are funny. Oh snap! The chair is trading again, holding down the stream. Listen, bro. Chair kills. Chair crushes. I like. I don't even want to. I don't want to say it too loud, but I was thinking about getting a new chair, and this one's been with me for some time, like from the beginning. Yeah, I'm gonna put something on chair. I'll have to put some googly eyes or something stupid. Should put a silly face on the chair, like playing from edit. Yo! Oh my gosh. That's actually really funny. The chair is Warren Buffett. Yeah, bro. I learn from the chair. I really do. I take all of my experience. There's not a more patient trader than my trading chair. I will tell you that. It can sit all day and do nothing. It's very little traders can do that. So it's a professional. You guys are funny. Let me go back and read what we got going on. Again, guys, this is nothing. Do I want this to the downside? I'm probably going to have to take something long if we wick lower one more time. That's my play. But this is trash, as the kids say. This is just straight hot garbage. Again, nothing, right? We got IB low down here, IB high. If you like initial balance, the first 1 hour of the opening range. We can mark that off, but, I mean, maybe we chop around VWAP. If we come lower before we come back up here, I would consider it. If we do this, I'm just gonna call it. If we do that, I'm out. I'm not gonna take it. I'm not gonna have a shot to get short up here. That's just not an entry for me. It would have to be way different. And now with this structure, it's really not appetizing. If we pull higher and then come lower, that's looking like continuation of the downside. So this whole thing really would be invalidated. Really, if we hit VWAP, if we trade above VWAP and then come back down. I would need this, somewhat of a nice impulsive move lower, some volume to step in, and then maybe run something wide, like really wide, where it's a hang on for the move back up for the rest of the day. But this is just a whole lot of nothing. I'm not getting involved in this crap. It's not needed. Don't need to do that by any means. Again, looking at the markets, talking about news, right? Like I said from the beginning, I don't say, well, it's a no news Monday, so I'm not going to trade, right? That would be creating a crazy bias around it. Or I don't say it's a no news Monday, so we have to chop, and I'm going to trade completely differently. Anything can happen, right? We can break out to the upside or downside. But if you go back and you watch the market day in and day out for long periods of time, you might notice a trend, right? A pattern, if you will, that on no news days that are ahead of large news events, like we have the rest of this week, massive news events, some of the largest, most high impact news events that we have on a monthly basis, right? Regular reoccurring stuff, that we consolidate, that we chop, we get very low volume. That's what we have today, right? So maybe you can be a little bit more cautious. The same way you might want to be cautious at 2:30 p.m. on Wednesday when, it's a FOMC press conference, right? And Jerome Powell's tanking the market. So this is not really surprising. Not really surprising, right? Part of it. I show up to trade because just like I said, anything can happen. We could be breaking out to the upside, pull back down, hit liquidity, huge movement, massive day. And, I don't like to write off anything. The only time that I really don't mind just stepping away completely and I'm like, I don't really care to watch the market is during and right around major U.S. holidays. It also just lines up personally so I could spend time with family and friends and whatever. But the market is usually very, very, very choppy, consolidating, irregular price action, for lack of a better term, low volume, low volatility around those days. So I don't find it necessary to trade right around major U.S. holidays, right? For example, the weekend between Christmas and New Year's. I've gotten cooked way too many times trading Forex in the past doing that. Not necessary. So here we are, hanging out. 10:39 a.m., pretty early. So I'm going to hang with you guys for a little bit, see if we can't get any more... we can't get some movement, right? I don't think we're going to sit here all day. I think we're going to do something. If and when I step away, it's going to be alerts ahead, above and below. I got a couple on my chart on TradingView already. You know, it's going to be alerts 15 points to the upside and downside. If we take a look, if we start to move, you know, what we got going on. That's pretty much what I'm going to be looking at. Yeah, this is ugly on all of these indices, man. Pretty ugly. Not that I use it, but I throw it on a TradingView watch list every once in a while on a day like today just to get a feel and take a look, glance at it. Mag 7's pretty flat. Tesla's the only one that popped today. Everybody else is under 1% movement up or down. Almost flat for some of these. So just not a lot going on in the market today at all, really around the horn. Let's see. Doing the NQ cha-cha, chair killing it. I think to top from here, I was watching yesterday, and I knew this gap would fill. Yeah, we got the gap fill, right? That was a nice movement this morning, right? Maybe you were trading pre-market Asia overnight, whatever, and you traded for the simple gap fill. There you go. Look where we came right down to and hung out for NYSE Open. Filled that gap. Doesn't always happen, right? And if we push to the upside, sometimes that could really mean like strength in the market. It will probably be slow because hardly any news. Yep. ACH at ATH. I will trade for my Lambo, dude. Yeah. Yeah, me too, Wolf. I have an iPhone 8 Plus. It works. It has a home button, and it's paid for. Oh, man. I love you guys. Man, you're mad funny. I wish I had my old Nokia back. Yeah, me too. Anybody else have a track phone back in the day? I had a Nokia with a light on the top of it. I had a literal Nokia, like, non-flip phone, and it had a light on the top of it. It's crazy. Crazy Nokia. Indestructible, bro. Indestructible. That would have survived a nuclear war. Lobby to bring back Nokia durability. Yeah, guys, this is nothing. This is really nothing. If you guys got any questions, you know, you want to talk trading, you want to talk mindset, you want to talk indicators, prop firm stuff, you know, regular crap, just let me know. This is a whole lot of nothing. I've yapped about what I had to yap about today, really, and watching these markets more and more, really not a whole lot of anything. Again, to the upside, I'm going to have some alerts sitting up here. If we start to break VWAP and push higher, there's not a whole lot of levels up here. I mean, I can see a return to the 45s, 50s, 6450s, big round psychological number up here. I don't know how I would get a trade on in that. I really don't know where I would get a consolidation. I mean, a continuation trade. Maybe through VWAP to the upside, I could potentially see something, maybe. But I would wait for it to really continue, form some structure, and then move. To the downside, this area, same area, right? But like I talked about, if we start to do this, then we start to come lower. Like, do I really want it down here? Maybe. So, going to be TradingView alerts to the upside and downside. Watch to see if we break out of this area consolidation and what happens. You know, maybe we hop back on the charts for a little bit, take a look. But outside of that, I yapped about top one because this one's sick. I know this number sounds the same, but this is for the instant funded accounts. This is for the end of day trailing drawdown. They rolled out these new accounts, the straight to sim funded pro with intraday, the ESS score, the minimum profitable days. And of course, that's great for a lot of people. They were cheaper. You could copy trade more of them. But my preference, and I think a lot of traders' preference, is the bigger dollar account, right? Costs more money, but end of day trailing drawdown. You don't got to worry about what's going on throughout the day. Nice wide max loss limit. Stops trailing also at your balance plus 100. No equity stability score. Just the 20% standard consistency. No minimum profitable days, right? Just the minimum trading days, that type of stuff. These are sweet. You can copy trade up to 3 of them. And again, in my humble opinion, if you put these up against the competition for what's out there for instant funded, right? Eval accounts are very different. You're taking challenges, different stuff is going to come from that. But you can compare against those as well if you want to. But if you take a look at the price on 150K or a 50K to go instant funded, no challenge, no activation fee, no additional fees, no time limits, no nothing. I think it's a pretty wild opportunity. I really do. I wish this stuff was around. Now, some of it was, no, instant funded wasn't around. I wish some of this stuff was around years and years ago when I was first getting into prop firms. I was trading $1,200 my Forex funds challenges. It's ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, that's what I got. If you guys want to check that out, link is in the chat. I'll throw it in there again. Code RDF gets you this deal. Better than the email, better than the website, better than anything that you see outside of other guys that also have a badass deal with Top 1 for their communities, which I do. But as I repeat often, I'm partnered, I'm affiliated, I'm biased, right? I stand to make money. Important for me to be transparent, for you to understand that. And like I was just talking about, for you to do your own research. Go to the site and read the rules for yourself. If you don't do that, I think you're a crazy person with any prop firm that you're considering at all. Read the rule set, right? The same way if you're going to open up a live account, you better read all of the terms and considerations and all the rules and regulations with the exchange that you're trading on, the platform, and the broker that you're with, right? What are their requirements for margins? What are their rules, right? How will they communicate with you when things change around, which they do? No rules technically, but something like a margin requirement, right? Or a platform, or maybe when you have to meet the overnight, the non-day trading margin, right? Maybe some of them are 15 minutes before market close, stuff like that. So understand the rules and regulations for everything that you do, and then maybe you stand a chance to try to make some money. Can't follow rules if you don't know about them. Let's see. We're talking about Nokias. Wish you would have found out about prop firms before September 2024. Be a little further along. Well, yeah. I started with live too, Scott. Very. I don't even know if I demo traded at all. I really don't. Maybe just a very tiny amount, but it was really trades in investment brokerages, and that quickly turned into crypto, and then that pretty quickly turned into, okay, well, we're going to figure this out on the Forex side. And it was large size for me at the time, and I think what most people would consider live accounts with Forex brokers. And you can imagine how that went as an inexperienced trader early on. A lot of losses, way more money than you could lose with a prop firm, way more. You can lose a lot with a prop firm, but let me tell you, you can lose a lot more in a live account if you have the money to lose. You can lose it quicker and more painfully. Have you tried Tick Strike with Bookmap? Seems to complement each other. Saw it on YouTube Friday. No, I haven't played with Tick Strike. Tick Strike's cool, like audible alert volume type of a deal. What I like on Bookmap is audible alerts for specific things. Money Reaper 77, the one that I like, if I was going to use any, which I haven't turned it on in a while, but I used to have it on. If you go back in my live sessions, you can hear it. The audible alerts for absorption and sweeps, and essentially what that is, what the alert is in the first place, is you can set at what also large trades. That's pretty cool too. But you can set at what volume you would like the alert to start to kick on, and they alert you when high volume has been traded, right? So if we start selling off here really aggressively, for example, and the 6420 started to get traded, I can have audible alerts on Bookmap to start barking at me sweeps or absorption at whatever rate that I want. They also automatically adjust, which is really cool. You could also have, like, if a 100 lot order trades on ES, audible alert calls it out at the price level, that type of stuff. So I do like that. Yeah, I really did like that. I liked it, especially when I had more going on. I was starting a live stream, and I couldn't even pay attention to what the hell was going on with Bookmap at the same time. and it's almost like a wake-up call, right? Like, I don't know how exactly helpful it is outside of really alerting you, but Tick Strike is really interesting. It's a different program. I think it was kind of to mimic like the roar of the pit back in the day. You know, as momentum starts to move, as price starts to move, volume starts to pick up, you know, you get that kind of audible alert, which can be helpful. But I haven't messed too much with it. I haven't messed with it at all, really. But it's cool. It's pretty cool. They usually have it running on YouTube. I know exactly what you're talking about. They usually iceberg sell, buy, stop in the robot voice. Yeah. I'm a rookie all over again at 58. Yeah. I try to stay a rookie, Scott. I think it's good. Keeps a good mindset. I hear that voice in my sleep. Yeah. I hear order filled in my sleep. It used to be the MT4 and MT5, like that. That's not a good mimicking sound of it, but whatever that sound is. Just watched multiple chart video and another amazing one by my brother Zach. I appreciate you, dude. Thank you. I try, man. I try. Again, I don't think that I'm anything too special, man. I just do what I would like to hear. FX so much awesome. Yeah. Bookmap's cool. Here, I'll show you guys Bookmap. We can talk about it since we're yapping about that. I will show you what I'm talking about with the audible alerts. We can actually play with it. Let's get it pulled up. This is Bookmap, my favorite order flow tool. I'm partnered, I'm affiliated with Bookmap as well, just so you guys know. Important for me to note that. I can't be unbiased, but I like Bookmap, as do many other traders. I think it's a really simple order flow tool. Great way to help with reading a DOM if you aren't a pattern recognition technician when it comes to fast-moving technical indicators. This is NQ Bookmap, by the way, if you want to take a look at that. But anyway, this is ES. What I'm talking about here is... Where's my configure add-ons here? I haven't played with it in mad long. Yeah. Thought it was... No. There we go, right there. So you come down here and you hop over to something like the sweeps indicator. It actually explains what it is. Sweeps is on the chart indicator that shows you and highlights areas with large volume of trades over a short period of time, right? Absorption is really similar. I honestly, gun to my head, I honestly don't know the difference. I don't know if one is buy side or sell side, but I was running both at different intervals, which was kind of cool. Ooh, starting to get some movement, guys. So I don't want to play too much on this. So if you start to throw this on, you can have it set up so it audibly alerts you as we come down into specific levels. There we go. Now it's on. Cool. So here's your audible alerts, right? Sound and pop up. I don't want to do it because it's going to be crazy annoying. Actually, let's do it. Here's how I would run it. Automatic mode. Again, essentially this, you can set it manually, but essentially this is going to adjust if you have a really low volume, low volatile day where like nothing's being traded. It kind of adjusts it down. Conversely, it adjusts it up if it's really an aggressive day. You can leave it at 10 for right now, but it's going to really start yelling at us if I leave it. We're going to come down to the 25s. We're going to hear it right now, I think. Price instrument side. This is actually what it says, and as it plays, you can adjust it so it doesn't have to say sweep. It doesn't have to say ESU 5 CME buyers at 50. You can have it just say essentially like sweep and then the price, right? Here's a test of it.
Example: sweep ESU 5 CME buyers at 50. Example: sweep ESU 5 CME buyers at 50.
So that's kind of what it would sound like. Let me leave it on and see if it actually starts to call out anything. It also shows it on the chart, which I don't really like. I don't like anything overlaying the chart. But we can leave it on. And maybe if we come through this, it'll actually bark at us. Cool little stuff. Again, not for everybody. I like it. Again, I like things in a very stupidly simple way, right? Very simple. Another helpful one is large trade alerts. There you go. This one right here. Again, you can throw
trade ESU 5 CME at BMD by price 64.27. Size 14.0.
For example, you can set like a minimum tape size. 100 is probably too much. Not really, not on a busy day. Maybe like 75 or something, and it would call out large trades. That could be helpful, right? Those large trades are often happening as we're coming into key levels, key areas on the chart. So you can have that get called out and a pop up, just like that. So it's cool stuff like that. I like that over tick strike. I know this was a question about tick strike, but I don't mind that over tick strike. And again, you can adjust it, right? If it's happening too frequently, you can come in here and this would be essentially the adjustment. If you had automatic mode on, you could increase the standard deviation multiplier, and that would have it come on less frequently, right? So, you know, there's a bunch of so much advanced stuff you can do with Bookmap, like so much, right? There's a ton of these, and I'm talking about 2 today, and I never talk about them. You can set this chart up to look completely differently, different colors. You can have candlesticks rather than, you know, price lines and volume bubbles. You could have the volume look different. So many different things you could do with Bookmap. It's really advanced and intuitive, and you can customize it. But also, if you want to just use it very simply, the way that I do, looking at key levels, having the DOM displayed to you like, you know, a baby, and it's just lit up like a Christmas tree, which I really like, and it gets stored historically, and you have a nice clean CVD down on the bottom, a widget, and, you know, maybe the chart itself. I like that. I like that for the basic stuff. But we'll see if it makes a sound here, and, you know, you guys can decide if that's something maybe that you find interesting. You know, again, I liked it when I was doing so much crap, when I really was first starting streaming and then first starting using Bookmap. I would like not be paying attention, and sometimes price just moves. If you don't have a trading view alert set or something, that can alert you. So let's see if we get it here. I think we will. It can be helpful. Kind of like a wake up, bro. Market's moving. Yeah, let's see. You guys killed on the ASFX video explaining Bookmap, very helpful. Yeah, no, I appreciate you. Again, guys, I don't consider myself like a Bookmap genius and order flow genius at all, right? I just I don't have all the time in the world on it, so that would be number one, and I use it in a very simple way. But I talk about what works for me, right? In that context, here's what I do. Here's what seems to help me. You can decide for yourself if that's something that's helpful for you. I personally like hearing that. Set it 83 sell order. I hear it. Yeah, there you go. Yep. An actual human being used to announce that at the CMA back in the 90s and the 80s. There you go. Yeah. Imagine that, Scott. Colby, me too. It's awesome. Yeah. They didn't sound like that wreckage though. Yeah. Yeah. So the only thing that I would probably mess with on here, like we'll hear it go off, I would shorten it, because this is just too much to listen to. Like, I'd probably shorten it. I wouldn't need it to say sweeps, instrument, side, like, you know, buy side. I'd just probably sweep at a, you know, buyers maybe, and then at the price, you know, kind of shorten it up. The large trade alerts, same thing too, right? Like they, that's crazy. Trade ES, CME, you know, Bookmap data, buy price, you know, this size. That's too much. It's way too much. We got a question. For the straight to funded accounts on top one, is there a minimum number of trades you have to take, or is it just a one-time fee? No, so they are one-time fee. You are, for the straight to funded and the instant funded. Straight to funded pro and instant funded, because they have 2 different types. You can decide what might be better or worse for you. Of instant funded, there's no challenge, there's no fee, there's no time limit. You just pay, and then you're funded, and you're trading a funded account. And then there's rules and objectives and things that you have to do to work towards a payout. But it's not like a challenge or eval account where you have to take a challenge and you have 30 days before it resets, and then if you pass, you have to pay in a certain amount of days. None of that stuff. But if you head to the site, that's all detailed right then and there. Guys are funny. Almost make me feel sad. Trading places just like the movies. Yeah. No. So this is another question. So you can buy it, and if you don't trade for a month or two, they don't take it away. No, there's an inactivity rule. Sorry, maybe you. No, I think I answered that first question right. Minimum number of trades you have to take, or is it just a one-time fee? So now this is a separate question. Do they have an inactivity rule, right, where you have to trade at least a certain amount within a certain time? The answer to that is yes. There's a 2-week inactivity rule with Top 1 Futures. Similar to other accounts that have inactivity rules, you have to take at least one trade, which would be opening and closing, a winner or a loser. You can do it on a micro trade just to keep it active. I'm hardly trading Top Step accounts at all anymore, and I do that once a week. I copy them all together and I try to take one micro trade, open in and close it, maybe a scalp, one tick, right? That type of deal. With Top 1 Futures, there's a minimum hold time rule of 10 seconds, but if you're just taking a stupid one tick trade, for a loss, maybe if you're not going to try to even take a win, it's really not going to matter that much. But yeah, there's an inactivity rule with most prop firms, including Top 1. Once every 2 weeks, you have to take a trade on any active account. I think you can circumvent that if you wanted to. Like if you were traveling, you could hit them up on support and they can pause your accounts. Like for example, some people travel to another country, maybe like the account's banned in the other country, they can't trade for 60 days. You let them know. Other firms do the same thing, right? If you're going away for a while, or you got injured or something, or whatever it is. Good questions though. Here we go. Through the 25s, what happens? I really don't love this trade long anymore, but I'm still looking at it. 11 o'clock, breaking to the downside. Thanks, that really helps. Yeah, no problem. Brian, did you get out at 110? Are you still holding? Let's see. Let's see if this one breaks to the downside. Watching this on Bookmap, seeing if we don't get an audible alert that we just threw on. Not yet. Not doing anything for my day yet. I think the only other option here, guys, is I'll show you this. I'm going to leave Bookmap up for a minute. But if we came back up through the 30s, right, 35s, we came right back up through VWAP, I could see that long. I don't think that's a terrible long play. It would get you a stop below this area consolidation. Like also conversely, if we kind of just, we kind of just wicked lower a little bit, filled this. It's not something I'm going to jump aggressively into, but if we filled this and then started to pop, and then watch volume tick right back up, CVD start to grow, I don't think that would be terrible for a. I don't think that would be terrible for a long either. I really don't. All right, we got good questions, man. You guys are keeping us entertained here. What's the red line on Bookmap showing? Is that a lot of orders? Yes. So just real quick, briefly, I know I've been telling everybody to go watch YouTube videos, but you can watch the YouTube videos. I think sometimes it's easier. I kind of think clearer about what I'm trying to say. This is a large stack of orders, right? This is the DOM, your current order book, and you can see the quantity of orders at a specific price level, right? So this is live liquidity in the market. Liquidity meaning areas of, there's actually liquidity everywhere, but when we refer to liquidity, most of the time we're talking about an area where there may or may not be a larger quantity of orders relative to everything else on the book that day and that for that instrument. So right now in real time, we're looking at larger quantity of orders right around the 24s, 25s. You can actually see the exact amount. And if you zoom in the way that I'm doing right now, you could look at super zoomed in specific price levels and look at the exact quantity of orders at a specific price level resting, right? These are buy orders sitting at 64, 24 and a quarter. We can see right now it's changing, right? Because this is in real time. We got 284, 285 orders right there. Try not to break Bookmap by displaying too much data. That's what we're looking at. This is live, right? Everything to the right of this line and everything to the left, like a candlestick chart, is historical. It's already happened. So you can see orders that come on and off the book, right? Rather than just in real time. Because what happens is if you're watching a DOM, right, this is all it looks like, and then all of a sudden, Oh, look at that. We got 374, right? A couple reasons you might want a heat map. Maybe you're up here, you don't see that, and then you scroll down and you go, oh, wow, we got 352 orders on the book down here. When did that come on? Don't know, right? So book map can be helpful for a number of reasons. Let's see. Since I blew my account, I have had all green days on my practice account. Changed some things up. Been using a strategy I had been thinking about. Nice. That was a week ago. Yeah, man. Awesome. Awesome. Take it slow and low when you transition to live, or when you transition to a prop. It's when all the psychology kicks in, when the mindset stuff kicks in. It gets really difficult. Wolf, question. If I travel to a banned country for like a week or two, can I still trade during that time because I originally belonged to a different country and I'm going back there? No. You wouldn't be able to trade from the banned country, right? They know where you're logging in from, right? They have the IP address, and you wouldn't be able to trade from that banned country. So I think even if you log in and you check your account, they see that also, because I've seen people get flagged and then asked, like, what's up with you logging in from like multiple different countries. So I'd say no. But if you're traveling to a prohibited country and you were part of any firm, I would ask them, right? I would ask them what the procedure is. Should I even open my charts up, or is that going to flag something? And then I think the answer is no, you can't trade until you come back. I have that coming up, for example. Like, I'm going to other prohibited countries this year to travel, right? Just travel with my wife and stuff. And I'm going to attempt to time for world tour. Yeah, not almost. But if you go to some island, right? You go down into the Caribbean, they're on the banned list. I wouldn't attempt to open up the charts and trade from there just because you opened a chart in the US. That's going to throw a flag on their side. So, I'd probably not open the chart, and that means you can't take a position. And if you're going to be around the 2-week mark, I'd probably give them a heads up. I'd say, hey guys, I'm traveling. I'm not going to be trading, that type of deal. So that's the way I'd go. Again, it flags for 2 reasons, and they got to try to have some police this, right? Of course, again, I'm biased. I'm partnered and affiliated with firms, so you could say, oh, Zach, you just are, going to take their side on whatever. They have things that trigger if someone logs in from, like, for example, multiple countries, right? Because unless someone travels a lot, which people do, that would indicate maybe that somebody else is trading the account. They're paying somebody to do something, somebody else is trading it, whatever reason. Or if you open an account in a non-prohibited country and then all of a sudden you're trading from a prohibited country, that would flag you and indicate kind of like, hey, maybe this person used a VPN or something to open it here and attempt to display that they weren't in a prohibited country, and now they're logging in and it's off, that type of stuff. So yeah, that's the thought process there. Again, there's a lot of rules in place, and you don't want to be like caught in the crossfire, and you should never be caught in the crossfire at all, right? Nobody that is not breaking any rules or doing anything sketchy should be have an issue. But like, for example, the question I see asked all the time in these discords is like, can my mom and grandma trade from the same house? Can my sister trade? And why do people want to do that, right? They want more accounts. They want to leverage more accounts. They want to hedge accounts, right? So if you're in a unique situation where both you and a family member live in the same location and you trade well, you have the same last name, you have to be extremely cautious. And for the most part, you shouldn't use the same prop firm at all, because it's going to be so hard to differentiate between if you're actually breaking the rule or if you're not breaking the rule. They're going to review it on their side, and even if it's genuine, oftentimes that's going to look like clear rules being broken. So there's things like that to be really cautious of. I've heard people talk about doing it, and I'm like, you're towing a fine line there, a really fine line. You're asking for a problem. So that's stuff like that, important to note. There's other things, but things like that. Zach, you can do one thing. Set up a troll account on TV like me and YOLO it during travel time. Yeah, yeah, that's fun. It's fun to do. Yeah, I might do that. I might actually do that, Wolf. What's stopping somebody from remote logging into their machine at another location? I don't know. I don't know what they can see on the back end. I know they can tell if and when you're using a VPN. They allow certain things for VPNs, but if you're going to do anything like that, I would reach out to them. I really would. Think about things that are prohibited. And if you're doing one of those things, but in a genuine way or something that like shouldn't be prohibited, you probably want to talk to somebody from their support ahead of time, right? Ask for permission rather than forgiveness in this sense. A lot of times everybody goes for just ask for forgiveness. And I agree with that in certain instances, but like find out what the rule is, with stuff like that. Again, all prop firms are going to have a keen eye on that because that's where the sim farmers and the dudes that are running games really thrive, right? They look for these loopholes and ways to do these things, right? To be able to hedge, to be able to, cycle through many more accounts without getting flagged, to leverage way more accounts than they should have, all of these things, right? So, pro tip: use different firms for different people in the same household. Yep, I would agree, 110%. I think you are asking for a problem if you are in the insanely unique situation. Because I'll be I actually only seen one instance of it. I've only seen one instance actually of two family members that were both profitable traders. So, we know how rare it is that you're going to be making it to consistent payouts. If you have two people in the same household, it's extremely rare, but it's not that it can't happen. If you are in that situation, I just wouldn't use the same firms. I would not use the same firms. I think it's crazy to do. I think you're asking for a problem. If you're in the same location, area, you have the same last name as somebody else, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. It's almost impossible for them to differentiate, even if you're using different computers and different strategies and times, all that stuff, man. It's honestly, in my opinion, and I've talked about this, I've kind of voiced it, I think that should be clear. I think they just shouldn't. They should make it, dude, one person from one area, household, one name. I think they try to be lenient, but it opens the door for too much BS. So I would not do it. Would not do it. Wouldn't do it. Because again, guys, 9 out of 10 people that ask that question, every time I read it, I'm like, you kidding me, bro? Can my brother trade also? We have the same last name and sometimes we use the same computer. Really, bro? Really? You also trade NQ on the 1 minute chart and you enter at the same time? Really? Really, bro? Really? Okay. That's the game. But again, there's situations out there, right? There are situations out there, which I fully respect and understand. But you got to understand, where you're going to be asking for a problem, So, but dude, I watched that. It's actually funny. You guys are laughing in the chat. I watched that question get asked in prop firm discords at least once a week. At least once a week. I'm like, come on, man. And I get that you're asking, which I give you credit for. Like, at least you're asking first, right? But come on, man. It's just don't do that. Don't do that. And I hear people do it. I also know I've heard of people that do it. My sister trades or my daughter trades, and we only trade and log in from different platforms, and we trade different instruments at different times. I don't know, man. There's just plenty of firms out there. There's live accounts. Just I don't think you need to do that. And if you're trying to run a game and hedge and just play the sim game and try to get one over on firms, have at it, and then you'll be banned. I don't think there's a lot of longevity left in that. I think they've caught on to pretty much everything. It's continuing to tighten down, and most of that stuff is just it's getting less and less lucrative, in my humble opinion. It also, at its core, is ruining the opportunity for undercapitalized traders that are actually trying to learn how to trade. And unfortunately, it kind of gets taken advantage of. But I can't fault everybody, right? Everybody can make their own decision. Granny in the corner hitting the bid. Yeah. It's going to be angered to someone's tax bill. Yeah. Money Reaper, yeah. Yeah, man, I'll give you the example, bro. This is funny. I know we're stuck on this conversation.
PSU 5 CME buyers at 6,427.5.
There we go. We got sweeps going off there. That's the audible alert. You can see we had quite a bit of volume traded there. That looks like something came in. We didn't jump right down into anything. Here, let's turn on absorption as well. We didn't jump right down into anything, but I wanted to tell you the story. Yeah, I think I used to run this at like 11 or 11.5, so it wouldn't be so aggressive. I'm going to put these both at 11. Filter out a little bit more. Yeah, bro, so like on on Instagram and socials and X, there was this big, like, this dude was going on and on about being banned because he was denied payouts because his grandma traded and she made it to payouts, and all of their accounts got banned and all this stuff. And they went farther than most firms go, and they said, we are going to do a live interview like immediately with you and your grandma, and we're going to ask your grandma to explain a couple of trades that she's taken on the account. And pretty quickly, right, you could talk to somebody and understand whether or not they can trade, let alone they've taken like massive prop firm payouts. And like she couldn't even enter an order, right? She couldn't even enter an order. And the dude, like, and so it was obvious, you know, what was going on. And the dude, like, continued to make videos and was like, she doesn't speak English, you know, and there's a language barrier. And like, they like wrote a whole thing about it. They were like, dude, like, she couldn't even open the chart. She had no idea even to tell what instrument she was on. Like, are you guys kidding me? Like, you know, come on, man. So I get it. I get the game, but yeah, you gotta be smart, man. That's a real story. That's not from any prop firm that I'm affiliated or partnered with. It was a Forex prop firm, but it was fucking hysterical, man. I'm like, really, bro? And the dude went to the extreme length. And I get it. There's money on the line, right? And at that point, I guess you're like, well, I'm gonna get banned anyway, so I might as well even try. You get your grandma on a video call, a Zoom call with a prop firm to try to tell her, like, you know, how to enter orders. She can't even answer the most basic question. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous.
Sweep ESU 5 CME sellers at 6,425.75. Absorption ESU 5 CME buyers at 6,425.5.
I think we're gonna get it again. I don't know if sweeps and absorption are the exact same thing. I genuinely don't know. I gotta read more about it. They're both very, very similar as far as what they alert from what I've seen, but I wanted to try to have it call out alerts for you guys so you could hear it. Probably get another one if we come through these 24s, just so you could hear and see what it looks like with the pop-up. Now it's going to drop.
Absorption ESU 5 CME buyers at 64.25.
See, there you go. Now it's going to drop, yeah. Hey, bro, how long is the new promo on top 1 for? I don't know for certain. I'm thinking it's at least a week. I haven't seen anything come and be under a week. But this is a big one. It's 55% off.
Sweep ESU 5 CME sellers at 6,004.
Okay, I'm going to have to turn that off in a minute. But here we go to the downside, guys. Here we go to the downside. CVD dropped off heavy on this bad boy. I'm still looking long. Just out of curiosity, looking at NQ bookmap. I'm still looking long, but now we got this bad boy down here. I got my 20s. Let me come back over to main screen.
Sweep ESU 5 CME sellers at...
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to turn that off. There we go, coming through the 20s real quick as I'm trying to do this at the same time. Yeah, this is aggressive, guys. I'm gonna hang tight on this. You guys saw what I was looking at on bookmap. The 420s had liquidity. Some of what was there dried up. The 410s have quite a bit, so that's now my area. Again, like I talked about, I like this initially, right? This is now not an off the open trade. We got liquidity all the way down here. I think that could get dicey. Either we catch a reversion here and we really bounce back up on this, or we sell off down to the 10s. I'm actually going to get rid of this altogether. It's not a bad shot to try it from up here, because if we sell off down towards the 10s, I think we might be headed all the way down here for the 6400s. Well, let's take a little look here, since we finally got some movement. 11:20 on the stream. Yeah, I'm not diving in front of this just yet. Not diving in front of this. Yup, I'm looking for the 410s, guys. Heavy stack of orders down there. I'm looking for that to get filled or for us to get real close. We might not do it though. This might be a little dip lower, but I'm looking into this area. We got a big stack of orders on the book down here. We've really broken the 20s and not shown any buyers just yet. The liquidity that was on there past the 25s really wasn't nearly as heavy as now what's on the book down here at the 410s. This could be all we need to do. This could be all we need to do before we start to revert and trend to the upside here today. Or conversely, we are really going to sell off, right? We're going to open up, fill this gap, and then come all the way back down here, right? And getting long is not the play. Let's see, we got buyers trying it here. Ooh, 20s, back up to the 20s. We've got some buyers trying it here. Fixing my VWAP, not to make you guys get you guys dizzy over here. Watching this market finally start to move. Finally start to move. Jeez, man. Yeah, I'm looking at the 410s, guys. I'm looking at the yeah, maybe another push down, eat up those front runners, then actually go up. Yeah, I'm looking at the 410s. This could revert from over here, and the 20s would have been a great spot. Really, what I was looking at all morning. It's not the same trade from 2 hours ago, over 2 hours ago. This is different. This might be it. This might be all we get. Ooh, there was an earlier trade review alert going off. This might be all we get, but I'm looking at the 410s that came on heavy. I think that would be a nice opportunity to get long on this. Otherwise, we push all the way back up on here. I'm calling it. Yep, buyers do not want to let this thing move just yet. Unless we come down one more time, nice and harshly. Back up on this bad boy. Interesting. The 20s were the spot. I think it might be the 20s were the spot. CVD grinding to the upside on this. Volume dropped right back off, but I don't know. I don't know that we dipped down lower. I got to see the 410s now. Again, different setup, different trade, different movement, different time of day. I'm still looking at this potentially long, but I'd be looking at one more sweep of this low, break down by a couple points, and look aggressively long. And if we don't get that at all, no trade. And if we sell off super aggressively through that low and continue, obviously I'm just completely on the wrong side of it. But this looks like we don't want to move lower. It looks like all we might be doing right now. Let's see. Did I get stopped out of NQ? That's a question. I'm gonna pull it up on chart number 2. No, it's back down near my entry. That sucks. Yeah, take profits up near the 550s. So we got closer to that. We traded 23, 528s. Yeah, that was still quite a few points off of a take profit. Damn, was showing me a little bit of profit though. That's okay. That's a set it and forget it. Let's see. Agree, looking strong. NQ always stair steps up, then a big rod wave down. Yep, rod wave. Oh man, that was funny. That's a low volume node according to my TPO, and the value are high from Friday, so it may just push up, but I wouldn't trust it unless there's another push down. Yeah, I'm not taking it long. If it breaks through the 50s, I'm gonna short that momentum. Yeah, again, guys, I'm looking at Bookmap, right? Nice stack of liquidity down to 410s. Nothing really below that. It hasn't been there all day, and those orders often just aren't as important. Just for whatever reason, basing it on what I see from looking at the chart, just pattern recognition. We finally got some movement. We hung out here, almost fell asleep. We finally got some movement. So let's see if this pushback up continues. We just are going to wick lower and then come right back up through VWAP, or if we are in fact going to come down and trade near these 6410s. Nope, pushing right back up on this bad boy. Ah, man. Yeah, I don't know about this one, guys. I'm still looking long off the 410s, but I don't know about this. Sell off and then pop right back up to the 23s and consolidate for 5 minutes. Like, I don't know. It doesn't look like we want to get a dip lower. It looks like this might be the move right back up through VWAP. A long opportunities here, right? Waiting for a dip lower and then, you know, some confirmation, some price action movement to the upside. You know, stop loss just down below this low if you're going to look for this thing long back through VWAP. I don't think it's a terrible play, but I'm just not really getting my levels hit today. The 6420s were an interesting spot an hour and a half ago, you know. Yeah, I'm not gonna stare at this any longer, guys. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna set some alerts down here, down below this low. We start to sell off. I'm gonna look long off the 410s, but I can feel myself getting fatigued and just impatient. So it's time for some lunch to go hang out for a minute. I'm going to set a trading view alert down below this level. We crack this low one more time and then find buyers again. I'm going to look long. We come back up through this based on price action market structure. I could also potentially look long, right? More structure, more information, more data either way. That's what I'm looking for. So just pretty slow moving. I hung out for as long as I possibly could here, over 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes today. Waiting for a setup. I'm going to go no trade on the live here, unless something happens rapidly as I'm talking. But on that note, guys, remember, we got 55% off top 1 futures. The instant funded accounts. The end of day trailing drawdown. OG instant funded accounts. If you guys want to check it out, links in the chat. Hit me up. You got questions. More than happy to try to help you out. As far as trading itself goes, remember, guys, quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't provide financial advice. Trading's risky. Most traders do lose money. Do your own research. Make your own trading decisions. Nothing I say or do is a suggestion or recommendation to do anything at all. I'm just an idiot here yapping on YouTube for entertainment purposes only. Read CFTC Rule 4.41 on simulated trading, which is what this is, even in funded prop from accounts, and the affiliate and partnership disclaimer that says I stand to make money from links and codes in my content, like Top 1 Futures, Code RDF, Bookmap, and others. Hope you guys have an awesome day. Love how disciplined you are. It's super tough doing so. Yeah, man. And again, I'm on the live with you guys, so you know I want to trade, but there's no setup, no trade, man. It's not even close. I apply discretion too, but like this just is not it, as the kids say. It's not it for me. So I don't know any other way to do it. I can't bring myself to just be a complete idiot all the time. Anyway, talk to you guys soon. We're live all week, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We got 50K accounts to get given away live on stream. No purchase necessary. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. And I'll see you in Discord. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks for being here. As always, I appreciate you. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit follow wherever you are if you enjoyed the stream. If not, you can let me know also, but feel free to keep that to yourself too. Nah, I'm just kidding. I always take feedback. Talk to you guys soon. Have an awesome week. See you live tomorrow. See you in Discord the rest of the day.